I just would love everyone to have the courage to be themselves and to love themselves and to share themselves, and to know that that sharing, especially the sharing of those imperfections, of those vulnerabilities, is the greatest gift that you can give the world.
If you're someone who refuses to go along to get along, if you question whether the status quo is good enough for you and your family, you want to leave this world better off than you found it, and you consider independence a sacred thing, you may be a prepper, a gardener, a homesteader, a survivalist, a farmer, a rancher, an environmentalist, or a rugged outdoorsman. This show is for those who choose the road less traveled, the road to self-reliance, for those living a daring adventure, life off the grid. Petra Page-Mann is the co-founder and storyteller at Fruition Seeds. Growing up in her father's garden, Petra believes each seed and each of us is in the world to change the world. Her passion, curiosity, love of food, and love of people led her all over the world studying seed, song, and culture worth celebrating. In 2012, she co-founded Fruition Seeds with her beloved partner Matthew to share the seeds, knowledge, and inspiration gardeners crave to amplify our individual as well as collective abundance in our short seasons. Petra, welcome to the Off the Grid Biz podcast.
Why, thank you, my friend. It's a joy to join you.
Awesome. So how did you end up here? What's your life story up to this point?
I really like to eat, and I've been fortunate enough to eat a lot of wonderful things, and somehow it just keeps happening. And so I aim to share all of those seeds and all of these meals with all the people so we can all keep going. I grew up in my father's garden here in the Finger Lakes of Western New York. And if you had asked little 7-year-old Petra what she loved to do, I wouldn't have told you gardening. I also wouldn't have told you brushing my teeth. It was just something that we did. And I took seed saving for granted as well. You know, if you want to sow some seeds, you should save some, right? Like, what's so special about this? So I'll profoundly be so grateful for that gift that my father gave me my entire life. And as I, became a teenager and became more aware of the world around me and really just deeply concerned by the patterns that I was seeing, I realized that agriculture was kind of this intersection of a lot of my passions of being outside, of eating, but of also like soils and justice and all of these wonderful things. And seeds are kind of the seed of it all, right? Seeds are this just epic metaphor to me of just the growth, the potential, the capacity to adapt and change, and kind of that like gift of our ancestors and how we can become good ancestors. So I spent over a decade working in kind of the organic seed world, working on farms and also for seed companies. I've worked for some of the smallest seed companies in the world, also one of the largest. And it really galvanized me to, decentralization is so important. There are oaks all over so many continents, right? But there are so many different genus species, so many subspecies, and the oaks that we have on this ridge above me are distinctly different, even within that subspecies, from 5 miles down in the valley. So we must do the same thing as humans with our economies, with our businesses, with our hearts, with how we communicate and organize. And so our centralized, highly commodified seed system, food system, it's not broken. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do, which is exploit the marginalized people that have been so profoundly exploited for generations, for millennia. And so part of what that looks like, is decentralizing and really taking care of, thinking locally, thinking globally. But yeah, we started Fruition Seeds in 2012 to kind of respond to our immediate inspiration and also just necessity of creating regionally adapted seeds for short seasons and sharing them widely. There's so many. When I grew up in my father's garden, I thought our season was too short for watermelons and that we couldn't grow peanuts. And turns out we can totally grow watermelons and we can totally grow peanuts, but we can't grow most of those varieties. Most of those varieties are developed, well, peanuts for down south and for watermelons for California, for the basically, if you live in the Central Valley of California, all of the seeds in the world are regionally adapted for you. But if you don't live in the Central Valley of California, you're probably going to grow up in New York State thinking that you have too short a season for watermelon. And so I'm really motivated for people, but especially the little people growing gardens these days, to realize that they can totally grow watermelon. They can totally grow just about anything they want. Of course, outside of papayas. And of course there are exceptions, but it's amazing to me the constraints that I thought of as a child 30, 40 years ago, that simply, they don't need to be constraints. And so we have dedicated our lives, among other things, mountain biking, dancing, making sure we all have these privileges in the process.
Absolutely. Oh, that's fabulous. That's great. So you went out, you started Fruition Seeds. How did that happen? Tell us a little bit about that journey when you first started out.
Yeah, I mean, every seed has its own journey, right? For me, I'd been dreaming for 7 years, actively, passively, about starting a business and starting specifically a seed company focused on regional adaptation. But it wasn't, and I'm a very kind of etheric, spontaneous kind of creator. And so for me, it's what are the skills and how do I orient my inner compass to do this work, rather than what's my 40-page business plan. And I'm like, how do I get my lawyers and ducks in a row? So for me, it was very heart-centered, and just like, what are both the hard, soft being the real skills of developing the relationships and the connections and interconnections that are going to be crucial to moving this forward. And so then when I met Matthew Goldfarb, my partner in life and in business and love and all the above, he has been in ag for several decades, and he has an MBA as well. So business had been a 4-letter word for me prior to meeting Matthew. And one of the many reasons I fell in love with him is that he helped me to see that business is actually right. And like marketing too had been this epic 4-letter word to me. And Seth Godin, among other people, just really cracked open the concept of marketing and helped me see that there's so much greater capacity for it. And in fact, marketing is just change. How are we being change makers in the world? And business is just another way to frame a vehicle, right? It's just another way to house a seed so that it can take root. So yeah, Matthew has so many skills. And it was honestly quite challenging, Brian, because I was like, am I falling in love with you because I'm falling in love with you, the human, or am I falling in love with you because you're obviously the best business partner I could fathom? So there was existential crises ensued, and they only, continue to unfold in new and exciting, terrifying ways. But all told, he's an amazing partner, and business and marketing, as well as seeds, are profoundly transformative ways to understand ourselves and the world. And if we're hanging on to, if the seed just insists on saying a seed, it's never going to fruit. It's never going to make more seeds. And so in the same way, when I recognized that my conception of what business was not serving me, was not serving the world, there were not going to be more little girls growing watermelons in zone 5. I was like, oh, we can change this. So yeah, other people meet each other, and 9 months later, 10 months later, there's a little person in the world. And Matthew and I met 10 months later, we signed an LLC, and Fruition Seeds was born, if you will. When people ask us if we have children, we say yes, and great, great, great grandchildren. And you can eat them if we think they have a sense of humor. which I know you do.
Yep.
Here we go. So that's a tiny snapshot.
Oh, that's fabulous. That's great. So you guys got everything started, and so many of the things that you were dealing with were the things that I think so many people, especially in this space, deal with when they get into that frame. It's like, how do you take the spirit of where I'm coming from and work it into this box that I see business as, this very confining thing, or marketing? Put it beautifully there. How'd you find your first customers?
There's a lot to be said for community. And I feel really fortunate because I grew up in this little town in upstate New York in the Finger Lakes. And our first customer, I gave away, I don't even know how many thousands of packets of seeds that I had saved, sometimes for a couple decades. And then I made my own packages, just like calendars and other fun things that I cut out and scotch tape to make little seed packets. And I love to draw. So I had all these pointillisms of seeds and and caricatures of them. So there's a lot of hilarious seed packets out there in the world. So I gave away thousands of seed packets to all of my friends and in our community, and just well beyond, so many rippling iterations out. And I'd been dreaming about it for years, and kind of actively, I'm a very passionate person and also an extrovert. So I'm like, what are you thinking about? Here's what I'm thinking about. What are you thinking about? Let's think about these things together. So it was no surprise to people that Fruition Seeds came into existence. People had been watching me for years and had been investing in me, honestly, for years prior, even though I lived in many other places when I would come back to Naples. And 25 years ago, if you had told me that I would ever live in this town of 2000, so lily white and fill in the blank, I would have said, I have prospects, thank you very much. But turns out, we don't all have the profound privilege, which I see and I will continue to see in greater depth for the rest of my days, the profound privilege that it is to come from a place that has relatively intact ecology and a deep social network and safety net. And so, the land that we farm on was given to us. If we couldn't have rented, we tried, and we certainly couldn't have afforded land. So they're all and just people who knew we were out in the fields farming all day long. And they'd be so many times Lauren would call and be like, I know you're still working and you probably didn't eat lunch and it's well past dinner and the grill is full of beautiful things. Come on over right now. So many people. How did I find my first customers? Just being a part of this community and investing in them, and they investing in me for years and honestly decades. Just laid that foundation so that by the time it came to the point where, we had a Kickstarter to I had $15,000 saved. Matthew also put in $15,000. We raised $35,000 on a Kickstarter that kind of went crazy. Not crazy, but our goal was $10,000. And it was just amazing to see, word of mouth is and it's the slow way to grow a business, right? And it's the expensive way to grow a business. But I think it's kind of the only way that actually matters, because instead of cutting corners and just buying up an email list, and it's using those corners as actual connection points to leverage real human needs and respond to them. And if Seth Godin, I'm totally a Seth Godin junkie, and he has this wonderful, what is your smallest viable audience? And serve them. And if you're not serving the smallest viable audience, then probably you're serving no one. And they're going to know that. We started small and we're still super small. And Fruition has no ambition of being a High Mowing or Johnny's, which are small seed companies in the realm of seed company mentality. And our goal is to just simply, first and foremost, to feed ourselves and our family. There's 8 of us here at Fruition Seeds full time. And if we're not taking care of that pod of people, then, we can't take care of the world. But beyond that, it's making sure that the people who are sowing our seeds are also, surrounded by abundance, not only by those seeds, but knowing that they're not alone in their gardens, and that we're sharing resources and kindred connection with them. So yeah, that was a long drawn out. But first customers for sure was just like this community that I call home being like, wow, Petra actually did it. And then the world.
No, that's awesome. That's great. You talked about taking that first big plunge where you put in some money, he put in some money, and you did that Kickstarter. What do you think it was that made that Kickstarter go viral, for lack of a better word? I mean, what made that go further than you expected it? Did you have a video on there that connected with people? I mean, what was it, do you think?
I don't exactly know. I would love to ask. It's a fun question for all of our folks that contributed. But I mean, certainly there was a video, and it's awful. I mean, I literally can't watch it. And I don't know, whether it's Instagram, IGTV, or like our YouTube channel, our website, fruitionseeds.com is full of videos. Like I've made thousands of, and not like now, like, wow, Petra, you're like really natural on video. How do you do it? And I'm like, hours and years of abject pain. Like that Kickstarter video was the first video we ever made. And it's like, watch it and I'm like, oh my gosh, my teeth are getting pulled out of my mouth, which makes it pretty priceless, right? I mean, there's like, so, but I think a large piece of it, Monsanto. So this was 2012. Well, really 2013. It was early 2013 is when the Kickstarter went live, and Monsanto and like glyphosate and all of this and GMOs were kind of really becoming a very public mainstream conversation. And so I think a lot of it between like, right, I'm so white and I'm blonde, I'm a woman, and I'm kind of cute and charismatic. So I have all of those things going for me. Even if I'm really awkward on a video, you're like, oh, that's a cute little girl, and she's doing something that means we have an alternative to GMOs. Great. So I think all of those things, like Monsanto, honestly, has given us a profound advantage in the marketplace. And even though it's not I can't tell you like, so many people, and I wouldn't claim to fully understand GMOs either, but there's a great misunderstandings around what genetic modification is and isn't. But it's created a lot of fear in people, that that fear we could leverage to be like, yeah, it sucks. You don't actually have to know that much about it. Yep. Have the core foundation be, we should think of other alternatives. You're right. Okay, we've got one. 1,500 of them, really. So yeah, I think between our communities and word of mouth just spreading and having some level of just social grace in kind of, a very modern contemporary America, paired with Monsanto kind of coming into its own as the face of big food and just industrialism and corporate colonial commodity at its worst. All those things combined really profoundly to set us up for being like, oh good, where have you been all our lives?
That's fabulous. So you've done a whole lot of video, like you were saying. Would you say that's the main driver for new people finding you right now, or is there other places that new people are finding you? Obviously via social media and your videos and so forth.
Yeah, that's another wonderful question. And I'm not an analytics person, but yes, so many people find us through our videos, without doubt. And I mean, at any given social post, if it's just a still image, it gets X reach, and videos, it's that much more compelling to watch a person in a video. So right now, both Instagram and Facebook are really just like amplifying those videos. And at some point that might change. It'll easily get 10X with a video. There's a lot of incentive for sure to just be generating that content. And it's just that much more compelling, right? Because then you get to actually have a general experience of me. And so many people, when they meet me, they're like, oh my God, I feel like I already know you. And I'm like, well, you do. And so many people are like, wow, you actually act like you do on your videos. And I'm like, I'm not an actress. Trust me, I can't act. But I can be myself. And that is the genius of the 21st century. And I think the opportunity that we have as change makers, as marketers in like the best possible sense, because these big corporations and even mid-scaling corporations, they can't be human.
That's
And
a great point.
they're trying so hard, but they can't. And so what we have, and I'm so grateful that I put myself through all of the torture. And I just can't recommend to all of your listeners being like, yeah, that's nice that she's like gone through that process. I don't really like, it's painful. It's awful. It's awful, but do it because it's so real and people will connect to you 1,000 times more deeply, 1,000 times. For me, it was directly related to my self-confidence as well. And so I think there's a lot to unpack about how we hide and why we hide. And as people who know that the system is not broken, it's doing what it's deliberately designed to do, which is keep the powerful in power, and disenfranchise and actively exploit the rest of us using our voices and learning to share those voices in as many ways as possible is so important. And video isn't for all of us. Maybe you paint, like whatever it is, whatever way, but keep challenging yourself. Like comfort is a quality way to maintain status quo and to not be the change that you want to see in the world. So yeah, finding that discomfort and the joy in that is the trick.
Absolutely. That's great advice. Very important. You mentioned previously that you're playing toward a very small market, small group of people, and you don't need to go too big. You can stay within that. How would you describe your ideal customer? Person that just comes across you and says, this is what I'm looking for.
Yeah. So the person that is like, whoa, she's really excited and like passionate in a really fun way. And then is like, oh, and she's telling me amazing things that I never thought of or I've thought about, but she just lays it out in a totally different way. So like the combination of joy, but like, oh, wait a minute, there's some serious wisdom being spread. And not just about like, let's talk about cucumbers and downy mildew. Let's talk about how social justice and ecological justice and language justice and like how do those pieces come out in our work so that we're bringing our whole selves. And we're not just thinking like soil carbon is important, but like, whoa, if we're not hungry, that's because there are other people actively hungry on this planet, and let's make sure that we're feeding them. And so like weaving all of those pieces together. So the ideal customer, I think of them as just community because customer is so transactional. But the ideal person that we're speaking to, and we're like singing to the choir, but also trying to be gentle in it for sure. And like, but very invitational to be like, these are conversations that are so critical and so interwoven. And I loved like post-pandemic and then like the murder of George Floyd and Black Lives Matter. And people are like, well, wait, seeds? Why are seeds now political? And it's like, whoa. I haven't been doing my work clearly because let's have a conversation. So I love that the person that is going to just see us and instantly be hungry for what we're sharing is hungry for justice as well as fabulous lettuce and the earliest ripening watermelon that they can find. Yeah.
Awesome.
I could go on and I will attempt to keep myself under wraps.
No problem. No, we love it. Okay, let's take a break from that conversation. I wanted to bring up a question for you. During these crazy times, do you feel like your business is indestructible? Most people don't. And if not, the real question is why? And what can you do to make it as indestructible as possible? Well, that's the basis of my new book, 9 Ways to Amazon-Proof Your Business. Let me talk about what we discuss in the first chapter, determine focus. So one of the main ways that you can Amazon-proof your business is by determining the focus of your business. And the real problem isn't that you're not doing enough. The real problem is that you may be doing too many things in too many places. So one of the things I suggest is decide whether your focus is going to be acquisition, ascension, or monetization. And I go into the details of what that means in this chapter. It's really the only three ways that you can grow your business. And if you just do that one step of determining focus, you can have a huge change in your entire business. But I also have 8 other ways to Amazon-proof your business. Basically, the idea of making it competition-proof to even someone as big as Amazon.com. So if you'd like to get your hands on a free copy of my book, go to AmazonProofBook.com. Sign up and you will get a free copy and get the chance to purchase a physical copy of it for a special price. In addition to that, if you happen to be in the Josephine County area or nearby and you're looking to have a speaker come and discuss these type of issues with your organization, club, or group of friends, then I have a limited calendar that I may be able to fit you into. Go check out brianjpombo.com/speaking and fill out the application. We'll be sure and get back to you on that. And now let's get back to our show. You mentioned COVID and all the things that have happened since the beginning of this year. We're recording this in July of 2020. Tell me a little bit about how that's affected your business, your life, maybe what you're talking about in your videos, everything else. How does that play into everything?
Ooh, there are so many. Can we have the next hour to just talk about this? So many things. Where do I even begin? I'll begin it with a fun one. We have these things called seeds and we put them in packets and the latex that closes the packets only lasts about a year. And so we have this 12 by 12 vault of seeds, essentially frozen and like millions of seeds inside, right? So we have way more than a 1-year seed supply in our lives, but because the latex only lasts a year, we only have so many packets. So, and it's mid-March and people are losing their minds and realizing a lot of things, among them that spending time in their gardens might be a really therapeutic, delicious, essential way to spend time, not just a hobby, but in fact, a deep sustenance and resilience. And so we're selling like 10x seeds compared to what we had projected. And so as the seed packets are flying off the shelves, we're like, oh yeah, we've got plenty of seeds. We're running out of packets. And in the meantime, our printer is not printing. They're not able to function at the time. And so we were able to find 25,000 blank seed packets. There was about 10 seconds where my heart just sank and was so deflated and sad, where I was like, I can't imagine. And if you haven't seen our packets, they're kind of beautiful. They have an original painting on them from our friend Elizabeth, and also a beautiful color photo from our farm, and just lots of great growing info. And they're kind of, I know every mother has beautiful and brilliant babies, and I'm no exception, but they're really beautiful. And so the thought of putting our seeds in blank packets was just kind of devastating to me. And then it was only about 10 seconds later that I was like, wait a minute. We have so many amazing friends who are incredible artists who all of a sudden are like, whoa, what do we do in this moment? And so we paid dozens of artists to create original works of art on all of these packets. And they're just outrageous. There's printmakers and watercolor, pen and ink, and just all across the board. And they're just so beautiful. And so it's the moment we inhabit, right? It was like, here's the blank slate. What no one would have wanted this. No one wants a blank packet of seeds. But all of a sudden it's ours to create and breathe life into and to collaborate on. We couldn't have done that alone. And it was just this community, and paying them to do this too, right? Artists are just like farmers, are just like so many change makers in our culture, not expected to be paid for their gifts and contributions. It was a really small and yet really large exercise in just how do we make lemons into lemonade, and how do we pivot and make this a beautiful culture worth celebrating. Yeah, so that's one element. And certainly we've been really fortunate in that people are more hungry for what we're sharing more than ever. There's a lot of businesses, including fellow farmers, that we know and love who are not having that experience, and we have many friends and businesses that we know and love who are no longer in existence, even a few months into the pandemic. So it's been a really humbling time, to be sure.
Absolutely. What do you like best on the bright side of things? What do you like best about your business and your industry as a whole, the community that you've built up? What do you like best about it?
I can't do it alone. And of course I wouldn't want to, but I literally cannot. And there's that interdependence of just, you can't grow a garden without just being so integrated into it. It doesn't grow itself, right? And we don't grow ourselves, we grow each other. The thing that I love about it is, as a whole, certainly the conventional chemical seed industry is just like any other industry. The organic seed industry is super collaborative, and it's a really tight-knit, awesome community where I can call up all kinds of people from all kinds of companies and ask all kinds of questions, whether it's a growing question like in the fields, whether it's numbers in the books, on all kinds of fronts. We're just we know that there's this pie and it's just getting bigger the more that we all collaborate with each other. And then just in terms of community, it's such a joy to share what we love with people we love, whether it's the physical seeds themselves or the knowledge of how to grow them, of how to seed save. I'm happy to give people fish, but I'd much rather teach them to fish. And I love that we get to do it all, and that it's just this beautiful wheel of give. And I learn so much from our community, and people reach out to us and want to collaborate with us in all kinds of amazing ways all the time. So I love that it's so collaborative and interdependent. And just, there's this sense of collective generation and regeneration, that we're all in this together. That being said, there's still so many ways, right, that colonialism makes us, and I love, Rowan White. When I first heard her say a few years ago, we are all indigenous souls with imperial minds, I was like, oh, preach it, Rowan. We all have these juicy, yummy dreams of collectiveness and cooperation, and yet we are have all of these trappings of what it is to monetize, and it's definitely a daily struggle to see and hold all of those parts of myself, but also a great joy to see all of it exists and it's all there. And the more courage we have to name them and see where they're coming from, then we can start to make different choices that might actually begin to dismantle these systems of oppression in ourselves, so that we can truly be even more collaborative.
Great. If there's one thing that you could change about your business, your industry, your community, what would it be?
Leaning into that transparency, into the transparency of collectiveness more, so that we would actually hold ourselves accountable in love with those collaborations. And so this is something I really can't stand about our personal social media feed and our website. It's just really, we shout out people quite regularly, but I just want to be doing it all the time. And because we don't do this work alone, we can't do this work alone. And we have this culture, right, of rugged individualism. And I pulled myself up by my bootstraps. I invented bootstraps, and bull crap. No. and yet, seed companies have this facade of, really a century and a half ago, they really were growing the seeds that they were sharing. And now just seed companies are purveyors, right? You don't walk into Trader Joe's and say, wow, thanks Trader Joe's, what a beautiful farm you have out back. No, they're a great purveyor, distributor of whatever it is that they think you'll buy. And so most seed companies are that way too. And they haven't really changed their marketing, because it's just not sexy to say I'm a middleman or a middle woman. Even though we grow 70% of the seeds that we share on our farm, there's 30% of our seeds that we're getting from all kinds of amazing seed growers in our bioregion and a few beyond. And so I want to be telling their stories more. So what I would change in us, which we're actively working on, and changing in the industry, which I have no control over except myself, and hoping that any modicum of success that we experience will just inspire, like seeing that someone else is actually doing it and well. And so I'm hoping to be that change, to celebrate our interconnectedness way more, because it's way too easy to be like, yes, isn't this amazing, this Fruition seeds that we've built? No! It's the farthest thing from Matthew and I and the 8 of us that are working here full time, like the radiating ripples of that. But you would never see it. And we don't live in a culture that celebrates that level of transparency. We don't know how to share the mic. Want to be challenging myself so that we can, as an industry and as a culture, not only share the mic, but be like, oh, right, I stole the mic to begin with. Or like, okay, it was our ancestors. Okay, this is like a 2,000-year-old construct that's crumbling. So how about we just get rid of it altogether and just sing some songs with 5-part harmonies? Okay, I'm in.
Sharing the mic. I love that. It's a great analogy. If you and I were to get back together, let's say in a year, and we had you back on the show, and we look back over the last 12 months, over everything that you've done and experienced with Fruition Seeds, what would have had to have happened in both your business and your personal life for you to look back and really feel happy about it?
What a delicious question. I am really grateful that our team here at Fruition is really diving deep into how are we colonized and colonizing? How are we exploiting, extracting, hurting, harming, and being harmed by the system? How can we begin to shift internally in ourselves, internally in our organization? And we've been sharing these conversations just in little ways, for years, and very actively for the last few months, of what does this actually look like? And so it's very internal work that you wouldn't see necessarily in our on social media or like our email list. Shameless plug. We have a beautiful organic garden email every week with video tutorials and how-tos, and it's really fun, beautiful, pithy, gorgeous. So hop on in. I'd love to share it with you. And so you wouldn't necessarily see that internal work that we're doing. I think of it as like we're in this chrysalis stage, which Seth Godin says it's always the interim. So I think we're always iterating. We're always in that chrysalis stage. We're always the caterpillar. We're always the butterfly. But we're in a really deep process right now of how do we reorganize, and including like, what does employee ownership look like? Doing that internal work so that we can do our work in the world better. Externally, that will be subtle. So a year from now, looking back, I'll be really happy if we're continuing to do this work and really challenging ourselves to find those growing edges and not just stay comfortable. It's a really dangerous thing to be too comfortable, especially as owners, and even though, it's not like Fruition Seeds is a huge business, and it's not like we've accumulated like wealth in a more classic sense, but it's still ours, right? And so that, like, I want everyone, I think ownership is one of the pieces that we're really needing to attend to in this time. And like, we own this land now, and we're like, whoa, 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 whoa. No. This is indigenous land that, like, if someone sells you a stolen cow, it's still a stolen cow. I'll be really happy if we continue to do this internal work so that we can begin to share it more fully with our wider community, so we can begin to do this as a wider culture.
What obstacles standing in your way of getting there?
It's just a lot of time, and it's a lot of discomfort, and also a lot of just people have been trying to decolonize. Indigenous people have been trying to get us to like vaguely see them. And like 400 years of slavery, like there have been a lot of people trying to get us to look, see, pay attention. But it's still, like it's still so easy, especially as white people with all the privileges that we have. It's really easy to just stay comfortable in the status quo, that we benefit from the system of us not having these really hard conversations. And especially if we're paying all of our staff to have these conversations, like it's a lot of money. And so it's putting your money where your mouth is. And it's a lot. And it feels so liberating to be investing in each other in this way. So we're constantly the seeds that we're planting in ourselves. So just an analogy that I always remind myself and I'm constantly like, wait a minute, am I really the person for this job? Like, how did I get here? And right, if you want a tomato, you plant this tomato seed that looks nothing like a tomato. And then it sprouts and it's this little thing with like green leaves that are kind of hairy. And you're like, I wanted a tomato that like I can put on my sandwich. But you're like, okay, I get there's a process. So you're weeding and you're watering and pruning and trellising. And you're like, what is this? Come on. And the whole thing, right, when you finally get to the tomato, is that it's been a tomato the entire time. It's never not been a tomato. I've never not been the person to do this work, but I also can't just stop and say, okay, I made it. I'm comfortable. Y'all eat your sandwiches now. So there's a fun little tangent. But I love remembering that is the work that we have to do. Just continuing to weed ourselves. And maybe I want a tomato. Maybe it turns out I'm a cantaloupe. And then I have to get over the fact that what I was actually attached to in growing into myself, like if you had told me also 10 years ago, almost when we started Fruition, that I would be spending a lot of time on the computer and making videos, I'd have been like, wait a minute, I am a farmer. I grow seeds. We wouldn't always want to be the dream that we're dreaming of, and being open to whatever it is that our communities are asking of us, that our inner is sparking in us. I forget your question, Brian. I'm sure it was a lovely one.
It's okay. I think you answered it. Main thing was about obstacles that are standing in your way between really achieving what you want to in the next year.
Just being afraid of the work, totally, and not wanting to pay the money that it's going to take, not wanting to take the time that it's going to take, because it's uncomfortable to doing this work. It means that you have to change. Yep. I mean, we've all been benefiting from the system, and that's Lauren Cardelli at Growing Culture. When he said, I heard him a few months ago say, for the first time, not the first time he said it, but the first time I heard it, if you're not hungry, it's because other people are hungry. and that means that we have to all be more hungry and be willing to eat less, whatever that looks like in that metaphor, right? So it looks like discomfort, and being willing to lean into that and be fed by other things beyond the benefits of exploitation and privilege that we have been socialized to think we are superior enough to just accept wholesale that we have what we have because we've worked hard, the whole meritocracy, or like fill in the blank narrative, but beginning to say, maybe I can, Anand Giridharadas says, we can be told to do more good, but we can't be told to do less harm. And when we're actually doing this hard work of decolonizing ourselves, we're doing more good by actively doing less harm. And that means a lot of discomfort. So yeah, that's the biggest obstacle, is just wanting to be comfortable, because there's so many other things that we want to be doing and sharing and thinking and feeling. Oh, and not working all the time. Thinking about all these challenging things all the time. But so not giving it. The obstacle is not giving in to the comforts of the benefits of our privileges.
You've weaved in a short period of time a story of transformation, really a story of your life and all our lives and how that fits into the whole. Very cool stuff. And we can go on for hours, I'm sure. Is there any questions I didn't ask that you'd like to answer?
What a fun question. Whatever it is that you are afraid to deliver on, just deliver. It's not going to be perfect. The messiness is part of the project. The weeds are part of the garden. I see so many people, and it's part of our culture, this attachment to perfection, and especially in an age of social media. And yeah, I just would love everyone to have the courage to be themselves and to love themselves and to share themselves, and to know that that sharing, especially the sharing of those imperfections, of those vulnerabilities, is the greatest gift that you can give the world, and likely one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself.
Amazing message, Petra. Thank you so much. What can listeners do if they want to find out more about Fruition Seeds?
Yeah, hop on social media. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. Fruitionseeds.com is our home. We're actually creating a new website as we speak. And when I say we, I definitely don't mean me. I'm like, WW what? But we have an amazing team of local creators, and we're creating this incredible website that is honestly very much based on Patagonia's website, where they just seamlessly weave in content and products. Yeah, sure. You want carrot seed, we got carrot seed, but like, you want to learn how to grow carrots way better? Yeah, it's not easy. Here's some tips. So like making sure that our content, and just so we're giving you the fish, we're teaching you how to fish, all on this beautiful website. So that'll be coming in the fall, fruitionseeds.com. But of course we have a website now, and everyone that I'm like, we're redoing our website, they're like, why? It's so beautiful. And I'm like, just you wait. And certainly we have a farm, and certainly in this pandemic moment, we are devastated to not be opening our farm to humans beyond our pod. But we have lots and lots of events, on-farm events. One of my favorites is our watermelon party every year. We grow hundreds of organic watermelons just for the seed inside. And so every year we have our watermelon in the dahlias party. We also grow thousands of dahlias. We're one of the only purveyors of organic dahlia tubers in the world. So we have all these dahlias that are going crazy as we're eating all these watermelons. So it's watermelon in the dahlias, and it's just all you can eat all day long. And all these people come, and it's just delicious. It's hilarious. We have there, you can work on your accuracy as well as distance if you want to spit seeds. So we have lots of great events on the farm. Post-pandemic, I hope to share the farm with any and all, and we do lots of formal tours as well. And I do, tons of speaking, whether it's, school groups or universities, garden clubs, book clubs. I love to share my passion. So don't hesitate to reach out in any and all of these capacities. I love to collaborate as well. But certainly Instagram, I think, is probably like the most fun way to hang out with Fruition Seeds on a daily, interactive, engaging basis. So yeah, you'll find us, surprise, surprise, at Fruition Seeds.
Excellent. Petra Page-Mann with Fruition Seeds, thank you so much for being on the Off the Grid Biz podcast.
Brian, my huge privilege. Thank you for all that you do and all that you share. It sends shivers down my spine, and I can't wait for next time.
Wow, Petra is really something else, isn't she? There's a whole lot more here to unpack, so I think it's worth re-listening to, but let me just bring up a couple ideas that pop in my head. First thing is she's got this genuine spirit about her that I think everyone can learn from. You just see how enthusiastic she is. That enthusiasm is just, it's infectious. But that comes from being genuine. And who you're hearing is who she is. And if you go and you watch her videos, you're going to see the same person. And like she said, if you're going to meet her in real life, I believe you'll meet the same person. Whether you're sending videos out, or whether you're writing emails, or whether you're doing podcast interviews, it's the same thing. You're putting that out there, and people can sense that you are who you say you are. That's really cool. Another thing she has is just a fearlessness about how she runs her business, which is really neat. It doesn't seem to be a whole lot of regret in her voice with all the things that she's done. I'm sure she's made mistakes and everything else, but no regret in terms of the big steps, in terms of the major moves that she's making. Seems to have a very high level of confidence. The third thing is I really find it interesting that you have this seed company, but that she has wrapped it around a philosophy and really making it more of a movement or a state of mind, if you will. You want to talk about something that catches fire with people. Now, it will completely push away people from their thoughts on organic food or anything else, but it will draw toward her everyone that sees things the way that she sees them, or anyone that resonates with where she's coming from. That type of thing is what you should be looking for in terms of your views of things, in terms of who you are, in terms of your confidence. All of who she is wrapped inside of this business. And that is why she prospers, and I think will continue prospering. I don't think this is the last time we've heard from Petra Page-Mann. She's very interesting, and I look forward to seeing what she comes up with in the future. Join us again on the next Off the Grid Biz podcast, brought to you by the team at brianjpombo.com, helping successful but overworked entrepreneurs transform their companies into dream assets. That's BrianJPombo.com. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on the Off the Grid Biz podcast, go to offthegridbiz.com/contact. Those who appear on the show do not necessarily endorse my beliefs, suggestions, or advice, or any of the services provided by our sponsor. Our theme music is Cold Sun by Dell. Our executive producer and head researcher is Sean E. Douglas. I'm Brian Pombo, and until next time, I wish you peace, freedom, and success.